Maybe if you contributed financially, you'd have a voice in this family. My husband said that, out loud, while canceling my credit card, at Thanksgiving dinner, in front of 23 of his relatives who laughed like it was the punchline to a joke I hadn't heard yet. Spoiler alert, I was the joke. I'm Esme Sinclair, 34 years old, living in what the real estate listings call the perfect Naperville neighborhood, and what I call a suburban prison with good school districts. My crime that Thursday evening wasn't embezzlement or identity theft. No, my transgression was far more heinous. I suggested we spend Christmas with my family in Oregon instead of making our 8th consecutive pilgrimage to the Mercer family compound in Schaumburg. The audacity, right? Otis Mercer, my husband of 9 years, is what suburban America considers a catch. 37, owner of Mercer Premium Imports, a supposedly thriving luxury car dealership with 3 locations across the Chicago metro area. He coaches Little League on weekends, serves on the HOA board, wears navy blazers with brown leather shoes to neighborhood barbecues, and uses phrases like "on my watch" without a trace of irony. The kind of man who thinks owning a Silverado truck worth more than most people's annual salary is a personality trait. We met in 2015 at a charity golf tournament I had zero interest in attending. He was charming then, funny even, telling self-deprecating stories about his first failed business venture selling timeshares in Florida. We married fast, maybe too fast. In a ceremony his mother Dorothea managed to make entirely about herself by wearing white and crying through the vows. Red flag number 1, but I was young and optimistic, and believed love could overcome a monster-in-law who referred to me as the girl who stole my baby boy. He was 29, Dorothea. 29. That's not kidnapping. That's called dating. The first few years were fine. Good, even. Otis was building his business, I was working as a freelance consultant for small real estate firms, and we had the kind of marriage that looked great in Christmas card photos. But something shifted around year 5. Maybe it was when his first dealership really took off. Maybe it was when his mother started hosting weekly Sunday dinners that somehow became mandatory attendance. Or maybe it was the slow, insidious way he started treating me less like a partner and more like decorative staff. You don't work, so you don't understand real money. That became his favorite refrain sometime around 2020. Never mind that I'd paused my consulting to help him with his business expansion. Never mind that I managed our entire household, coordinated his business dinners, played hostess to his clients, and smiled through countless events where his family treated me like hired help who'd accidentally been invited to sit at the table. But Thanksgiving 2024, that was the moment everything crystallized with brutal clarity. We were at his brother's house in Schaumburg, the kind of McMansion that tries too hard with its columns and 3-car garage. The dining room was packed. Otis's parents, his 2 brothers and their wives, his sister and her husband, various cousins, and enough children running around to qualify as a small daycare. Turkey, stuffing, the whole Norman Rockwell fantasy, except nobody was actually happy. The conversation had turned to holiday plans, as it does every year around the pumpkin pie. Otis's sister was talking about their annual Christmas Eve tradition at Dorothea's house, the one where we all wear matching pajamas and watch It's a Wonderful Life while pretending to enjoy Dorothea's dry sugar cookies. We should switch it up this year, I said, keeping my voice light, casual. Maybe do Christmas in Portland with my family. We haven't been there since 2018. The table went quiet. That special kind of quiet that happens right before someone says something unforgivable. Dorothea's fork clinked against her plate. Well, that's certainly an interesting suggestion from someone who doesn't contribute to these family decisions. Mom, Otis said, but he was smiling. Actually smiling. No, she's right. His brother Marcus chimed in. Family traditions exist for a reason, Esme. You can't just change things because you're feeling homesick. I'm not homesick. I just thought... The problem, Esme, Otis interrupted, his voice taking on that patronizing tone he'd perfected over the years, is that you think your opinion carries the same weight as everyone else's here. But let's be real. He pulled out his wallet, extracted my credit card, the one linked to our joint account, the one I'd used that morning to buy the $70 wine we'd brought as a hostess gift. Maybe if you contributed financially, you'd have a voice in this family. Then he did it. Right there, in front of his mother who smiled, his brothers who laughed, his sister-in-law who actually took out her phone to record it. He took scissors from the sideboard drawer and cut my credit card in half. The sound of metal through plastic was surprisingly loud in that dining room. "Otis, what the hell?" I managed, my face burning. "Language, Esme," Dorothea tisked. "Not in front of the children." His brother Marcus raised his beer. "Sometimes you gotta lay down the law, brother." The wives giggled. The cousins smirked. And Otis, my husband, the man who'd promised to honor and cherish me, just shrugged and said, "Maybe this will teach you about financial responsibility and knowing your place." I sat there, 2 pieces of plastic on my plate next to the half-eaten slice of pecan pie, and had what alcoholics probably call a moment of clarity. This wasn't a bad day. This wasn't a rough patch. This was my life, and it had been my life for years, and I'd been too busy trying to be the perfect wife to notice I'd become the family punching bag. But here's the thing about being underestimated, about being dismissed and diminished and treated like you're less than nothing. It gives you a spectacular advantage. Because while Otis was busy cutting up credit cards and playing big man in front of his family, while Dorothea was congratulating her son on handling his wife, while 23 people laughed at my humiliation, not a single one of them knew the truth. Not one of them had any idea what was sitting in my name, untouched and untouchable, waiting in a trust file in a downtown law office. And that's when I realized something that made me smile into my ruined pie. Revenge doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting people discover they've been playing checkers while you've been playing chess. I picked up both pieces of my credit card, dropped them in my wine glass, and watched them sink. "You're absolutely right, Otis," I said sweetly. "Financial contribution really does matter in a marriage." He thought I was agreeing with him. The fool actually thought he'd won. The ride home from Schaumburg that Thursday night was silent, except for the sound of Otis humming along to whatever classic rock station he'd claimed ownership of in our marriage. He was in a good mood, drumming his fingers on the steering wheel of his ridiculous $80,000 truck that got approximately 9 miles per gallon, and announced to the world that he was definitely, absolutely, 100% secure in his masculinity. I stared out the window at the Illinois suburbs sliding past. All those perfect houses with their perfect landscaping and their perfect lies tucked behind vinyl siding and good credit scores. "You're quiet," Otis said as we pulled into our driveway in Naperville. "Just thinking. About how you embarrassed yourself tonight?" "Yeah, Mom texted me. She said you need to learn your place in this family." He said it casually, like he was commenting on the weather, not repeating his mother's assessment of my worth as a human being. "Your mom has a lot of opinions for someone whose greatest accomplishment is raising 3 sons who can't cook their own meals." "Wow." He laughed, actually laughed. "You're still salty about the credit card thing. Esme, it was a teaching moment. You need to understand how households work." "I understand perfectly how households work, Otis. I've been running ours for 9 years. "Running it?" He pulled into the garage, killed the engine. "Babe, you order takeout and occasionally vacuum. That's not running a household, that's existing in one. When you bring in real money, then we can talk about your contributions." There it was again. That phrase, real money. As if the years I'd spent building his client relationships, hosting his business dinners, managing his schedule, sacrificing my own career to support his, counted for nothing because there wasn't a direct deposit attached to it. We went inside. He grabbed a beer from the fridge, settled onto the couch, turned on ESPN. Just another Thursday night in paradise. "I'm going to bed," I said. "Cool. Hey, before you go, we need to talk about Christmas. I already told Mom we'd be there Christmas Eve through the 26th. She's planning the menu around our attendance." "Of course she is. What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing, Otis. Absolutely nothing." I went upstairs, got ready for bed in the bathroom we'd renovated 2 years ago with money from his successful second dealership location, brushed my teeth with the electric toothbrush he'd bought himself, and complained when I wanted one too because that's wasteful. We can share. Changed into pajamas in the walk-in closet he'd filled with his clothes, leaving me exactly 1/3 of the hanging space because I need room for my suits. Small things, tiny indignities, the kind that accumulate over years until you're drowning in them and can't remember when you stopped being able to breathe. Friday morning, Black Friday, Otis left at 5 in the morning for his dealership. Big sales day. Huge opportunity. Americans fighting each other over discounted luxury vehicles they absolutely did not need. He'd be gone until late, he said. Don't wait up. I waited exactly 45 minutes after he left. Then I got dressed in my best meeting outfit, the navy pantsuit I'd bought 3 years ago and rarely got to wear anymore, and drove downtown to Michigan Avenue. The law offices of Vaughn and Associates occupied the 23rd floor of a glass tower that reflected Lake Michigan on clear days. I'd only been there once before, in 2019, right after Grandfather Sinclair's funeral. Otis hadn't come to that meeting. Too busy with a car auction in Indianapolis, he'd said. Sign whatever needs signing, he'd told me. It's probably just some jewelry and maybe a savings account. The receptionist recognized me. Mrs. Sinclair, we weren't expecting you. Do you have an appointment? No, but I need to see Quentin Vaughn if he's available. It's about my grandfather's trust. Let me check his schedule. 5 minutes later, I was sitting across from Quentin Vaughn, a man in his 60s with wire-rimmed glasses and the kind of patient expression that comes from decades of dealing with complicated families and their even more complicated money. Esme, he said warmly, it's been a while. What can I do for you? I need to understand something about the trust, the building on Clark Street that my grandfather left me. The commercial property. Who are the current tenants? Quentin pulled up a file on his computer. Let's see. Clark Street, downtown Chicago. Beautiful building, by the way. Your grandfather had excellent taste in real estate. Currently, there are 3 commercial tenants. A coffee shop on the ground floor, a boutique law firm on the 2nd floor, and the 3rd floor is leased to Mercer Premium Imports. That's your husband's main dealership location, correct? The room tilted slightly. I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? Mercer Premium Imports. They've been leasing the 3rd floor since 2018. Pays monthly rent of $11,000. Very reliable tenant, actually. Always pays on time. I sat there processing this information while my brain tried to catch up with reality. Otis's flagship dealership, the one he was so proud of, the one he'd built his empire on, was located in a building I owned. A building he paid rent on. Rent that went into an account I controlled. And the lease terms? Standard commercial lease, 5-year term, up for renewal in March of 2025. Either party can choose not to renew with 90 days' notice. So if I gave notice in December, the lease would end in March. Correct. Though I should mention, ending a lease with a family member can create complications. Is everything all right, Esme? I thought about Otis cutting my credit card at Thanksgiving dinner. I thought about Dorothea's smile. I thought about 9 years of being told I didn't contribute, didn't matter, didn't have a voice. Everything is perfect, Quentin. Actually, I need to understand the full scope of my grandfather's trust, the complete portfolio. He pulled up more files. The trust currently holds $4.2 million in municipal bonds and treasury securities, generating approximately $130,000 annually in interest income. Then there's the Clark Street property, valued at approximately $8.9 million. The coffee shop and law firm leases bring in another $14,000 monthly combined. All income flows into your trust account. Has been since your grandfather's death. You've never withdrawn anything? I didn't know I could. It's your money, Esme. Has been for 5 years now. Your husband never discussed this with you? My husband was too busy at a car auction to attend the will reading. I signed the papers you sent, but I never really looked at the details. I thought it was just a small inheritance. Quentin removed his glasses, cleaned them thoughtfully. Your grandfather was very specific about this trust remaining separate property. Even in Illinois, which is an equitable distribution state, this trust is ironclad. Premarital inheritance, never commingled with marital assets. In the event of divorce, your husband would have zero claim to any of it. That's good to know. Is divorce something you're considering? I thought about that question. Really thought about it. Was I considering divorce, or was I considering something better? Something that would teach Otis and his family exactly what happens when you underestimate the quiet woman in the corner who apparently doesn't contribute anything real. I'm considering my options, I said. In the meantime, I'd like to discuss that lease renewal. Specifically, I'd like to discuss not renewing it. Quentin leaned back in his chair. Esme, I have to ask, are you absolutely certain about this? Business decisions made out of emotion rarely end well. This isn't emotion, Quentin. This is math. My husband told me last night that I need to understand how households work. That when I bring in real money, then I can have a voice. So I'm exercising my voice. The voice that comes with owning an $8.9 million building that houses his business. When would you like to send the non-renewal notice? Today? Right now, if possible? He studied me for a long moment. Your grandfather always said you were the smart one in the family. I'm starting to understand what he meant. Can we make this happen? It's your property, Esme. You can do whatever you want with it. I'll have the notice drafted within the hour. It will be delivered via registered mail to the business address. Perfect. And Esme, you might want to consult a divorce attorney, just in case. Already on my list. I left Vaughn's office feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Not happiness exactly, but something close. Power, maybe. The kind that comes from realizing you've been holding all the cards while everyone else thought you were bluffing. My phone buzzed. A text from Otis. Slammed at dealership. Going out with the guys after. Don't wait up. I texted back. Take your time. Enjoy yourself. He had no idea that in approximately 3 hours, a registered letter would arrive at his dealership informing him that his lease would not be renewed, that he had 90 days to vacate the premises, that the building he'd spent 6 years operating out of, the location that anchored his entire business model, was owned by the wife he'd humiliated in front of his entire family. I drove home, poured myself a glass of wine from the good bottle I'd hidden in the back of the pantry, the one Otis didn't know about because he never looked past the beer shelf, and waited. Revenge, I was learning, tastes better than any Thanksgiving dinner I'd ever had at the Mercer family table. The registered letter arrived at Mercer Premium Imports on Monday, December 2nd, at approximately 2:15 in the afternoon. I know the exact time because that's when my phone started ringing. I was at Target, casually shopping for things I could now afford without asking permission, when Otis's name flashed across my screen. I let it go to voicemail. Then he called again, and again. By the 4th call, I was in the home goods aisle, debating between Egyptian cotton sheets and regular cotton sheets, and I figured I'd caused enough suspense. Hey, honey, I answered, examining a set of towels. How's your day going? What did you do? His voice was tight, strained, the kind of tone people use when they're trying very hard not to scream in a professional setting. Esme, what the hell did you do? I'm at Target. Do we need new towels? I feel like we need new towels. I just got a letter, a legal letter, about the building, about my lease. Oh, that. Yes, I decided not to renew. The property has better opportunities for development. Nothing personal, just business. Isn't that what you always say? Just business? Silence. The kind of silence that happens when someone's entire worldview is collapsing in real time. You can't do this, he finally said. This is my dealership, my business. You can't just kick me out. Actually, I can. It's my building, Otis. Has been since 2019. You've been paying me rent for 6 years. Well, not me directly. The trust account, but same difference. Your building? What are you talking about? What trust account? The one my grandfather left me. You remember Grandfather Sinclair, right? The funeral you were too busy to fully attend? The will reading you skipped because of that car auction in Indianapolis? Turns out he left me a few things. A commercial building in downtown Chicago being one of them. Your dealership being located in said building is just one of life's funny little coincidences. More silence. I could hear people talking in the background. Probably his employees wondering why the boss looked like he'd seen a ghost. You're lying. This is some kind of mistake. A prank. Not a prank, sweetheart. Check with your attorney if you want. The building at 247 Clark Street is owned by the Sinclair Family Trust, of which I am the sole beneficiary. Your lease expires March 15th, 2025. You have 90 days to vacate. It's all very official and legal and, dare I say, financially responsible. Esme, you can't do this. We can talk about this. About Thanksgiving. I'm sorry, okay? Is that what you want to hear? I'm sorry. Oh, Otis, you're not sorry yet. But you will be. I dropped a set of luxury towels into my cart. Egyptian cotton. Why not? I could afford it. See you at home. Maybe. If you're not too busy at the dealership, you'll need to move in approximately 3 months. I hung up, turned off my phone, finished my shopping in blissful peace. When I got home an hour later, Otis's truck was already in the driveway. He met me at the door, his face red, his tie loosened, looking like a man who'd just realized he'd been playing chess with someone he thought couldn't even play checkers. We need to talk, now. Sure, let me just put these groceries away. Esme, I'm serious. You can't destroy my business because you're mad about a stupid credit card. I set the bags on the kitchen counter, took my time putting away the expensive cheese I'd bought, the imported olives, the wine that cost more than our weekly grocery budget used to be. This isn't about the credit card, Otis. This is about 9 years of being told I don't contribute, about being humiliated in front of your family, about you treating me like I'm your employee instead of your wife. So this is revenge? That's mature. No, this is economics. You wanted me to understand financial contribution. Well, here's a lesson. I contribute the building that houses your entire business operation. Without me, you have no flagship location, no prestigious downtown address, no foot traffic from Michigan Avenue. Just whatever strip mall space you can afford on short notice. He stared at me like I was a stranger. Who are you? I'm the woman you married and then systematically dismissed for 9 years. But that woman is done being dismissed. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll apologize to you in front of my family. Whatever you want. What I want is a divorce. The word hung in the air between us like smoke. I'd been thinking it for days, but saying it out loud made it real, solid, something that couldn't be taken back. You don't mean that. I absolutely mean that. I already spoke to an attorney this morning, filed papers this afternoon. You'll be served within the week. Illinois is an equitable distribution state, but don't worry, my inheritance is separate property. Premarital, never commingled. You get zero claim to it. We'll split the marital assets 50-50. You can keep the truck. I'll keep my sanity. This is insane. You're throwing away 9 years of marriage over one bad night? One bad night? I laughed, and it felt good, cathartic. Otis, it's been one bad night for approximately 6 years. I just finally woke up and realized I deserve better than being the punchline to your family's jokes. He tried negotiating, tried apologizing, tried explaining how his mother had pushed him, how he'd been stressed about the business, how he didn't mean any of it. The usual excuses people make when they realize they've lost something they took for granted. I wasn't interested in excuses anymore. Over the next 2 weeks, I became intimately familiar with Illinois divorce law. I learned about equitable distribution, about marital versus separate property, about how judges view non-monetary contributions to a household. I hired Barbara Hendricks, a divorce attorney whose reputation for taking down arrogant husbands was legendary in Chicago legal circles. Your case is straightforward, Barbara told me during our second meeting. The trust is ironclad. He has no claim. The marital assets are minimal compared to your separate property. He'll get half the house equity, half his retirement accounts, half the value of whatever you accumulated together. But the trust, the building, the bonds, all of it stays with you. What about the dealership? What about it? It's his business. You just own the building he operates out of. You're under no obligation to renew his lease just because you're married. Frankly, you're under no obligation to renew his lease even if you weren't getting divorced. He's going to fight this. Let him fight. Men like your husband, they're used to controlling the narrative. Used to their wives backing down. You're not backing down, and that terrifies him. She was right. Otis tried everything. He got his own attorney, some guy named Chad from Schaumburg who wore too much cologne and talked about protecting his client's interests. He tried to claim the building should be considered marital property since improvements were made during the marriage, which was hilarious, considering he'd never paid for a single repair or renovation. He tried to argue that kicking him out was vindictive and punitive and designed to destroy his livelihood. Barbara shot down every argument with the kind of precision that made me understand why she charged $400 an hour. Meanwhile, the lease deadline loomed. Otis scrambled to find new space. The only available options were either tiny offices in sketchy neighborhoods or astronomically expensive locations he couldn't afford. His business started hemorrhaging money. Clients started going to other dealerships. His brothers stopped answering his calls when he asked for loans. Dorothea called me on Christmas Eve. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "You've destroyed my son," she said without preamble. "Your son destroyed himself, Dorothea." "I just stopped enabling it. We treated you like family. You treated me like the help. There's a difference. You'll regret this. Karma has a way of catching up to people." "Funny," I said. "I was just thinking the same thing about you. I spent Christmas in Portland with my actual family, the people who'd always valued me, who'd watched me shrink over 9 years and been too polite to say what they were thinking. My mother cried when I told her everything. My father, usually quiet and reserved, said, 'About time you remembered who you are.' New Year's came. Otis moved out of the house the first week of January, taking his truck, his clothes, and his wounded pride to a rental apartment near his dying business. The divorce moved through the courts with surprising speed. No children to complicate things. No significant shared assets to fight over. Just two people untangling a mistake that should have ended years ago. March 15th arrived. Otis's dealership vacated the building on Clark Street. He'd found space in a depressing strip mall off Interstate 88, sandwiched between a discount tire shop and a pawn shop, the kind of location that screamed desperate to anyone with eyes. My building sold to a development company for $8.9 million. They were converting it into luxury condos, the kind that would sell for close to $1 million each. The profit alone was enough to set me up for life, even without the trust fund. The divorce finalized on a Wednesday in early May. I walked out of the courthouse in downtown Chicago a single woman, financially independent, and finally free. The thing about revenge is that it's never quite as satisfying as you imagine it will be, except when it absolutely is. By June of 2025, the full consequences of Otis's choices had rippled through his life like dominoes falling in slow motion, and I had a front-row seat to the entire spectacular collapse. His dealership, Mercer Premium Imports, the business he'd built his entire identity around, was hemorrhaging money from the strip mall location near Interstate 88. Turns out that luxury car buyers don't particularly enjoy shopping for $70,000 vehicles next to a pawn shop advertising "cash for gold" in neon letters. His sales dropped 64% in the first quarter alone. The clients who'd loved the prestigious downtown address suddenly couldn't be bothered to drive to what one reviewer on Google called the saddest car lot in the greater Chicago area. I know this because I still checked his business reviews occasionally. Not out of spite, exactly. More like scientific curiosity. Watching someone who'd spent 9 years telling me I didn't understand real business proceed to destroy his own real business through sheer arrogance was oddly educational. His brothers stopped returning his calls sometime in April. Marcus, the one who'd raised his beer in celebration when Otis cut my credit card, apparently had a strict policy about not lending money to family members experiencing self-inflicted financial difficulties. His sister unfollowed him on social media. Dorothea, his beloved mother who'd applauded my humiliation at Thanksgiving, was reportedly disappointed in how he'd mishandled his marriage and his business simultaneously. The schadenfreude was delicious. But the real poetry came in late June, when I ran into Otis at Whole Foods in Naperville. I was shopping for my new downtown loft, filling my cart with organic produce and expensive cheese and wine that cost more than reasonable. He was in the checkout line with frozen dinners and the kind of discount beer that comes in 30 packs. Esme. He looked tired. Older. The kind of aged that happens when stress and regret have a baby and name it consequences. Can we talk? We have nothing to talk about, Otis. The divorce is final. We're done. I know. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry. Really sorry about everything. You're sorry because you're suffering consequences. That's not the same as being actually sorry. That's not fair. Fair? I adjusted my sunglasses, the designer ones I'd bought myself because I could. You publicly humiliated me at Thanksgiving dinner in front of 23 people. You cut up my credit card like I was a child being punished. You told me I didn't contribute, didn't have a voice, didn't matter. And now you want to talk about fair? I was wrong. I know I was wrong. My business is falling apart. My family won't talk to me. I lost everything. No, you lost what you thought was everything. There's a difference. You still have your health, your education, your ability to start over. You just don't have the wife you took for granted and the building you never realized she owned. He looked like he wanted to argue, but what could he say? The truth was standing between us like a wall, and we both knew it. The building sold, didn't it? I heard you made millions. 8.9 million, actually. The developers are turning it into luxury condos. Beautiful place. You should drive by sometime and see what you used to have access to. That's cruel, Esme. No, that's factual. Cruel was Thanksgiving dinner. This is just information. I paid for my groceries with the credit card linked to my trust account, the one that had more money in it than Otis would probably see in his lifetime, and walked out of Whole Foods feeling lighter than I had in years. But the universe wasn't done serving justice yet. In July, I received a call from Marcus's wife, Andrea, one of the sisters-in-law who'd giggled when Otis cut my credit card. She wanted to meet for coffee. I almost said no, but curiosity has always been my weakness. We met at a Starbucks in Schaumburg, neutral territory. Andrea looked uncomfortable, playing with her wedding ring the way people do when they're about to confess something. I owe you an apology, she said without preamble, for Thanksgiving, for laughing, for being part of that whole horrible thing. Why now? It's been 8 months. Because Marcus did the same thing to me last week. Not the credit card thing, but he humiliated me in front of his business partners. Told me I didn't understand finance and that I should leave business discussions to people who actually contribute. Used almost the exact same words Otis used on you. I sipped my latte, waiting. And I realized that we've all been enabling them. The Mercer men think they can treat their wives like accessories because that's what Dorothea taught them. And we just accept it because that's easier than standing up for ourselves. What are you going to do about it? I'm seeing a divorce attorney next week. I'm done. And I wanted to tell you that you were right to leave, that you were brave, that watching you stand up for yourself gave me permission to imagine doing the same thing. Andrea, I wasn't brave. I was just tired of being small. Same thing, maybe. We talked for another hour. She told me about her own struggles with the Mercer family expectations, about how Marcus had become more controlling over the years, about how Dorothea had a way of making all the women in the family feel inadequate. It was like looking in a mirror that reflected the past 9 years of my life. When we parted ways, she hugged me. Thank you for showing me it's possible to leave. Thank you for seeing it. By August, Andrea had filed for divorce. By September, Otis's youngest brother's wife had done the same. The Mercer family empire of controlling husbands and enabling dynamics was crumbling faster than Otis's business model, and Dorothea was reportedly devastated that her sons' marriages were falling apart. I heard all of this through the suburban gossip network, the same one that had probably gleefully discussed my humiliation at Thanksgiving. Now they were discussing the spectacular collapse of the Mercer family dynasty, and I wasn't going to pretend I didn't enjoy every single update. Meanwhile, my life had transformed in ways I couldn't have imagined a year earlier. I'd started working as a real estate consultant again, except now I was working with high-net-worth clients, helping them manage their commercial property portfolios. Turns out that successfully managing a $4.2 million trust and an $8.9 million building sale makes you pretty credible in the real estate world. My loft in downtown Chicago had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan. I decorated it exactly how I wanted, with modern furniture and art that actually meant something to me, not the generic suburban decor Otis had insisted made us look successful. I had friends again, real ones, not just the wives of Otis's business associates who'd tolerated me out of obligation. I took a trip to Europe in October, something I'd always wanted to do, but Otis had always dismissed as impractical and expensive. I spent 3 weeks in Italy, eating incredible food and visiting art museums and remembering what it felt like to take up space in the world without apologizing for it. When I got back, there was a message from Otis's attorney. Apparently, Otis was struggling with his portion of the divorce settlement payments. Could we negotiate a reduced payment plan? I had Barbara send back a one-word response. No. In November, almost exactly 1 year after the Thanksgiving disaster, I drove past my old building on Clark Street. The luxury condo conversion was complete. The building looked stunning, all glass and modern design, with a rooftop terrace and floor-to-ceiling windows. Units were selling for $900,000 to $1.2 million. Every single one of them sold within 3 months. I thought about Otis in his strip mall office, struggling to sell cars to customers who'd rather go anywhere else. I thought about Dorothea discovering that all 3 of her sons were getting divorced because their wives had finally realized they deserved better. I thought about that Thanksgiving dinner, about the scissors cutting through my credit card, about 23 people laughing at my humiliation, and then I stopped thinking about them at all. Because the best revenge isn't making someone suffer. The best revenge is building a life so good that their opinion of you becomes completely irrelevant. It's December now, and I'm sitting on my rooftop terrace in downtown Chicago, wrapped in a cashmere blanket I bought myself, drinking wine that costs more than Otis's monthly car payment, watching the snow fall over Lake Michigan. A year and a month since the Thanksgiving that changed everything. People ask me sometimes if I regret how things ended, if I feel guilty about what happened to Otis's business, about the ripple effect through the Mercer family, about being the catalyst that apparently destroyed an entire dynasty of controlling husbands and enabling wives. The answer is no, not even a little bit. Here's what I've learned over the past 13 months. You can't destroy something that was already broken. I didn't ruin Otis's business. His arrogance and his reliance on a location he never bothered to verify he actually controlled ruined his business. I didn't end 3 Mercer marriages. The Mercer men's treatment of their wives ended those marriages. I just happened to be the first domino to fall, and the rest realized they didn't have to keep standing in formation. Dorothea sent me a Christmas card this year. Actually sent it. To my new address, which means she went through some effort to find it. The card had a generic winter scene on the front and a handwritten note inside that said, "I hope you're happy with what you've done to this family." I threw it in the recycling bin without responding. Her happiness or approval stopped mattering to me sometime around March. Otis, from what I hear through the suburban gossip network that never quite lets go, is managing. He closed 2 of his 3 dealership locations and is running a much smaller operation focused on used cars instead of luxury imports. He moved to a smaller apartment, sold the ridiculous $80,000 truck, and bought something practical. Started going to therapy, allegedly. Good for him, genuinely. Growth is growth, even when it's forced by circumstances. Marcus and his youngest brother are both divorced now. Andrea is thriving, working as a financial analyst and dating someone who apparently treats her like an equal partner. Revolutionary concept. The youngest brother's ex-wife moved to Colorado and started a business making custom furniture. Both women thank me occasionally for showing them the exit door, which is sweet but unnecessary. They walked through that door themselves. I just happened to leave it open. My business is doing well. Better than well, actually. Turns out that when you spend 9 years managing a household, hosting business dinners, maintaining relationships, and quietly observing how successful people operate, you learn some useful skills. I've built a client base of people who need help managing their commercial real estate portfolios, and I'm good at it. Really good. The kind of good that comes from finally having the confidence to trust your own expertise instead of letting someone convince you that you don't know anything. I bought a car in October. Nothing ostentatious. Just a reliable luxury sedan that I chose because I liked it, not because someone else approved. I joined a book club full of women who actually read the books and have opinions about them. I started taking painting classes on Thursday evenings. I travel when I want to. I eat what I want to. I spend my money on things that make me happy without explaining or justifying any of it to anyone. Is this what freedom feels like? Because if so, I spent 9 years in a prison I didn't even realize had locks on the doors. My family came to visit for Christmas this year. My parents, my younger sister, her husband, their 2 kids. We stayed in my loft, ordered too much takeout, watched holiday movies, and didn't follow anyone else's traditions or schedules or expectations. My mother cried happy tears when she saw how I'd decorated my place, how I'd filled it with things that actually reflected who I am instead of who I thought I should be. "You look different," my sister said on Christmas Eve. "Lighter." I am lighter. About 190 pounds lighter specifically. She laughed. "That's how much Otis weighs?" Weighed, past tense. Not my concern anymore. On New Year's Eve, I stood on my terrace and watched fireworks over the lake, thinking about the year that had passed, about the woman who'd sat at that Thanksgiving table, humiliated and small, accepting treatment she never should have tolerated, about the scissors cutting through plastic, about the registered letter, about walking out of a courthouse in May, legally free but emotionally liberated months before that. The thing about revenge is that it's not really about making someone else suffer. It's about refusing to suffer anymore yourself. It's about taking back the power you gave away piece by piece over years of trying to keep the peace, trying to be good enough, trying to earn respect from people who were never going to give it. Otis wanted me to understand financial contribution. Mission accomplished. I understood it so well that I used it to rebuild my entire life without him in it. Sometimes people get exactly what they ask for, just not in the way they expected. I raised my glass to the Chicago skyline, to the woman I used to be and the woman I'd become, to every person who's ever been underestimated and dismissed and told they don't matter. "Here's to contributing," I said to the winter night. "Here's to knowing your worth. And here's to never, ever letting anyone convince you that you're less than you are." The fireworks exploded over the lake in brilliant colors, and I smiled. Turns out the best revenge isn't destroying someone else's life. It's building your own so well that they become completely irrelevant to it. And that, more than anything else that happened this year, is the lesson worth remembering. Some people spend their whole lives trying to make others small so they can feel big. I spent 9 years being made small. Now I'm taking up exactly as much space as I deserve, and I'm not apologizing for a single inch of it. That's not revenge. That's just living well. And living well, as they say, is always the best revenge. Apparently, receiving anonymous flowers at work isn't romantic. It's a spoiler alert for your entire marriage. My name is Alma Dawson. I'm 34 years old, marketing manager at a tech company in Austin, Texas, and I just found out that my 8-year marriage is performance art disguised as commitment. The roses arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. Regular boring Tuesday with regular boring client meetings. Our receptionist went full cheerleader mode. "Alma, someone's being romantic." My coworkers swarmed instantly. Classic office behavior. Everyone taking pictures, sniffing the roses, making jokes about lucky girl and relationship goals. I smiled, played along. That's what you do when you think your marriage is solid, right? Opened the card. "He doesn't deserve you, but I see you." Masculine handwriting. Strong. Confident. Definitely not Dean's sloppy scrawl. My hands started shaking. Flipped the card over. A link. Handwritten URL. Short. Specific. Personal. I grabbed the flowers, mumbled something about putting them in water, and practically sprinted to the bathroom. Locked myself in the furthest stall. Sat on the closed toilet lid. Bouquet balanced awkwardly on my lap. Phone clutched in sweating palms. Typed the link. Private album. 16 photos loaded one by one. Each image a tiny bomb exploding in my chest. Photo 1. My husband Dean with a woman. Redhead, early 30s, gorgeous smile. Restaurant I didn't recognize. He's looking at her the way he used to look at me. Past tense. Used to. Photo 2. Same woman. Different day. Movie theater. His arm around her shoulders. Casual, comfortable, familiar. Photo 3. Grocery store parking lot. Her cart. His hand on the small of her back. Domesticity that felt like a knife. Photos 4 through 8. Different locations. Different outfits. Same woman. Same my husband. Coffee shops, parks, That boutique wine bar downtown he always said was too pretentious. Photo 9 made my vision blur. Them at a restaurant in Dallas. Dean had told me he was in Houston that weekend. Big client presentation, babe. Can't miss it. Apparently, the only thing he couldn't miss was her. Photo 10, San Antonio, Riverwalk. Holding hands like teenagers. He'd said, team building retreat. The only thing he was building was a second life. Photo 11 destroyed me. Supermarket. Regular suburban Tuesday vibes. Shopping together. Her laughing at something he said. Buying things that never showed up at our house. Photos 12 through 15. More dates. More lies. More proof that my marriage was a part-time gig for him. Photo 16. Yesterday's date stamped in the corner. Office setting. His office. Her sitting on his lap. His desk. Business hours. Broad daylight. Like they owned the place. Like I didn't exist. I couldn't breathe. The bathroom stall felt smaller. Roses smelled sickening now. Sweet rotting. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I'm the one who sent the flowers. We need to talk. Cafe Medici, 6 p.m. tonight. I'll explain everything. This isn't random. You deserve to know the truth. Seth Barrett, my ex-boyfriend from college. The guy I dated for 3 years before Dean. The guy who proposed when we were 24 and I said no because I needed to focus on my career. The guy who left Austin, moved to Dallas, became some corporate controller, and I never saw again. Seth worked at the same consulting firm as Dean. Same building, same floor, same meetings. And apparently, same front row seat to my husband's double life. I stared at my reflection in the stall door's metal coat hook. Mascara starting to run. Lipstick chewed off. Looking exactly like someone whose world just collapsed. 6 p.m. Cafe Medici. My ex-boyfriend. My cheating husband's evidence. My entire marriage potentially imploding over espresso. The roses sitting on my lap suddenly felt less like a gift and more like a warning shot. Dean texted, "Late meeting tonight. Don't wait up. Love you. Love you." 2 words that used to mean everything. Now they just sounded like corporate jargon. Empty. Rehearsed. Meaningless. I texted back, "No problem. See you later." Lies. We were both so good at lies. I stood up, flushed the toilet for effect, office politics, even during personal apocalypse, and walked back to my desk. Smiled at coworkers, thanked them for the flower excitement, sat down, opened my laptop, pretended to work while my brain screamed questions. How long has this been going on? Who is this woman? Does she know about me? Does Dean love her? Did he ever actually love me? And the question that burned worst, how did I not see this? 3 hours until 6 p.m. 3 hours until I met my ex-boyfriend and found out exactly how bad this disaster really was. 3 hours to sit in my office chair, surrounded by coworkers who think I'm lucky, staring at roses that smell like betrayal, waiting to learn the truth about a marriage I thought I understood. The roses sat on my desk. Everyone kept commenting. So romantic. You're so lucky. Dean's the best. Dean, my husband, my liar, my stranger. At 5:45 p.m., I grabbed my purse, told my boss I had a personal appointment. He barely looked up. I walked to my car, hands steady now. Shock does that. Makes you cold. Clinical. Efficient. Drove to Cafe Medici. Parked. Sat in my car for 10 minutes, staring at the entrance. Deep breath. Walked inside. Seth was already there. Corner table. Back to the wall. He looked older. Gray threading his temples. Sharp suit. Blue eyes still intense. Still attractive? Wrong thought. Bad timing. He stood when he saw me. Gentleman reflex. Alma. His voice. Deeper than I remembered. Rougher. Seth. We sat. Silence stretched between us like a chasm. "I'm sorry," he started. "I know this is... Just tell me." My voice sounded dead. Flat. "Tell me everything." Seth looked at me like I was fragile china. Spoiler alert. I wasn't fragile. I was furious. "I've been working with Dean for 2 years," he started, fingers wrapped around his coffee cup. "We're not friends. Colleagues. You know how corporate works. Surface-level pleasantries, fake laughs at bad jokes during team meetings. I nodded, waited. My coffee sat untouched, too nauseous for caffeine. About 6 months ago, I noticed him at a happy hour with this woman, Vanessa Clark, junior analyst, 32, recently divorced. Seth's jaw tightened. At first I thought maybe coworker thing, networking, whatever. But then I saw them again, and again. Always the same energy, intimate, secretive. You followed him. Not a question. I documented him. Seth met my eyes. Because you deserve to know the truth, Elma. You always deserved honesty. The subtext hung heavy between us. Unlike Dean. Unlike the man who asked me to marry him while apparently auditioning replacements. Seth pulled out his phone. Showed me more. So much more. Email screenshots. Work correspondence between Dean and Vanessa that started professional and devolved into flirty. Then explicit. Not graphic. Thank God, wrong audience for that. But clear. Can't wait to see you tonight. Last weekend was incredible. She suspects nothing. She, me, I was she in my own marriage. There's more, Seth said quietly. He showed me expense reports. Dean had been charging personal dinners as client meetings, hotels as conference accommodations. The company was literally funding his affair. Our family budget, tight because Dean always claimed work didn't reimburse enough, was tight because he was spending money on her. Does she know he's married? My voice cracked. First sign of emotion breaking through the ice. Oh, she knows. Seth's tone went sharp, angry. She thinks it's hilarious. I overheard her at the office Christmas party last year. She was drunk, bragging to another analyst. Said something like, "Playing house with someone else's husband hits different." I felt my face flush. Hot, humiliated. This woman, this Vanessa, knew about me, knew I existed, and chose to participate anyway. Chose to laugh about it. Chose to be the punchline in my marriage. Why now? I asked. Why tell me now? Why the flowers, the drama, because I'm tired of watching him disrespect you. Seth leaned forward. Intense. Alma, I see you at company events sometimes. Regional meetings. You show up to support him. You smile. You network for his career. And he stopped. Breathed. He's throwing you away like you're nothing. You're not nothing. The way he said it. Past and present colliding. The boy who proposed. The man who disappeared. The stranger who just handed me evidence of my husband's betrayal. Where does she live? I asked. Seth hesitated. Alma. Where does she live? He told me. Gave me the address. Nice complex in Central Austin. The kind with a pool and gym. The kind Dean and I couldn't afford because we were saving for our future. Apparently, our future included his side piece living better than his wife. I stood up. Thank you, Seth, for the truth, for caring enough to... My voice broke. I hated it. Hated crying. Hated feeling weak. Alma. He stood too, reached out, stopped himself. What are you going to do? Something stupid, probably? I tried to smile, failed. Or something genius. Haven't decided yet. I left. Drove home in autopilot. Dean wasn't there, obviously. Late meeting. Right. Late meeting with Vanessa's thighs, more like. God, I was becoming crude in my own head. Heartbreak does that. I poured wine. Expensive bottle we were saving for our anniversary next month. Screw it. Drank straight from the bottle. Sat on our couch, the one we bought together at IKEA, arguing about colors and fabrics, and stared at our wedding photo on the wall. We looked happy. Young. Stupid. My phone buzzed. Dean. Heading home soon. Want me to grab takeout? The audacity. The sheer audacity of this man to ask about dinner after spending his day with another woman. I typed back, sure, surprise me, because I was about to surprise him too. Thursday morning. I called in sick. First time in 3 years. My boss sounded concerned. You never take sick days, Mabel, are you okay? He called me Mabel. Wrong name. Didn't even correct him. What did it matter? I drove to Vanessa's apartment. Watched. Like a suburban stalker. Pathetic? Absolutely. Necessary? Also absolutely. She left at 8:47 a.m. Professional outfit, hair perfect, makeup flawless. She looked happy, content, well-rested. Probably because she wasn't carrying the weight of a dying marriage. I waited. Dean's car pulled up at 9:15 a.m. He parked, looked around, guilty reflex, and walked into her building like he owned it. Confident, casual, familiar. He was supposed to be at the office. Early morning presentation, he'd said at breakfast. I'd made him eggs. He'd kissed my cheek, tasted like lies. I took photos, time-stamped, documented. Maybe I learned from Seth. Maybe I was just tired of being the idiot wife. My phone rang. Seth, where are you? Staking out my husband's girlfriend's apartment. You know, normal Thursday activities. Alma, don't do anything crazy. Define crazy. Silence. Then, want backup? I almost laughed. Almost. Why would you? Because you shouldn't be alone right now. And because... He paused. Because I never stopped caring about you, Alma, even when you said no, even when you chose him. I never stopped. My heart did something weird, painful, complicated. Cafe Medici, 20 minutes. I hung up. We met again. Same table, different energy. I have a plan, I said. Seth raised an eyebrow. Should I be worried? Probably. But you're going to help me anyway. He smiled. Small. Sad. Yeah, I am. I laid it out. Step by step. Seth listened. Added suggestions. Corporate insider knowledge. We weren't just planning confrontation. We were planning demolition. This could get messy, Seth warned. Good. I meant it. He made a mess of our marriage. Time to return the favor. Thursday evening, 7 p.m. Dean texted, another late one. Don't wait up. I texted Vanessa's landlord. Found him on the building website. Claimed to be her sister. Lost my key. Can you let me in? Emergency. Older guy. Bought it completely. Opened her door. I tipped him $20. Thanks so much. Waited inside her apartment. Lights off. Door unlocked. Dean arrived at 7:43 p.m. Used his key, to her apartment. Vanessa showed up at 7:51 p.m. Takeout bags. Thai food. The kind Dean always said he hated. Apparently, he only hated it with me. They walked in together, laughing, her hand on his arm. I turned on the lights. Hi, honey. Your meeting ended early. The looks on their faces, priceless, worth every second of humiliation, worth every lie, worth every wasted year. Dean went pale. Actually pale. Like vampire seeing sunlight pale. Vanessa froze. Thai food hitting the floor. Pad Thai exploding across her pristine white carpet. Alma, Dean started. Shut up, Dean. I smiled. Cold, calm. Adults are talking. Oh, wait. I looked at Vanessa. Are you an adult? Hard to tell when you're playing dress-up in someone else's marriage. She found her voice. This isn't what it looks like. Really? I pulled out my phone. Started showing photos. Because it looks like my husband has been living a double life. It looks like you knew he was married. It looks like you both thought I was too stupid to notice. Dean tried to step forward. Alma, let me explain. Explain what? My voice rose. 8 years of silence breaking. Explain how you used our grocery money for her rent? Explain how you lied about business trips? Explain how you made me feel crazy for asking why you were always tired, always distant, always gone. It just happened. Dean, master of cliches. Nothing just happens, Dean. You made choices. Every single day. You chose to lie, chose to cheat, chose to make me the idiot wife while you played house with her. Vanessa crossed her arms. Defensive now. You clearly weren't making him happy. I laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, sweetheart. You think you're special? You think you won something? I stepped closer. She stepped back. You got the leftovers. The scraps. The man who's too cowardly to end his marriage but too selfish to stay faithful. Congratulations. You're dating garbage. I pulled off my wedding ring. 8 years. Platinum band. Small diamond. All we could afford back then. Placed it on her coffee table. He's all yours, Vanessa. Good luck managing a man who lies for sport. You're going to need it. Dean tried to grab my arm. Alma, wait. I pulled away. Don't touch me. Don't call me. Don't come home. We're done. Walked out, head high, heart shattered, but dignity intact. Seth was waiting in the parking lot, leaning against his car, arms crossed, protective. How'd it go? I called her garbage. I laughed, cried, both. I'm a mess. You're magnificent. He opened his car door. Come on. Let's get you somewhere safe. Seth drove me to a hotel. Not sketchy. Respectable. Marriott downtown. He checked me in under my maiden name, Alma Rutherford. Like witness protection for the emotionally demolished. You didn't have to do this, I said, standing in the room. King bed, clean sheets, neutral colors, everything my life wasn't. Yes, I did. He set my overnight bag down. I'd grabbed it from the house while Dean was at Vanessa's. You need space to think, and you shouldn't be alone. You gonna stay here and hold my hand? Sarcasm. Defense mechanism. If you need me to. He wasn't joking. We stared at each other. 10 years of history. 3 years of love. 1 rejection. 2 years of working near each other without contact. And now this. I should hate you, I said quietly. You disappeared. You didn't fight for me when I said no. You said no, Alma. I respected that, even though it destroyed me. His voice cracked. Rare vulnerability. I moved to Dallas to get away from memories of you. Threw myself into work. Dated other people. Nothing stuck. Because nobody was you. Seth, I'm not asking for anything. I'm not expecting anything. He moved toward the door. I just needed you to know the truth about Dean. What you do with that information is entirely up to you. I'll be at the Hilton across the street if you need me. For anything. Even just to talk. He left. I sat on the bed. Stared at my phone. 17 missed calls from Dean. 12 texts. Escalating from apologetic to angry to desperate. Alma, please let me explain. You're being irrational. It meant nothing. You're throwing away 8 years over a mistake. Classic cheater playbook. Minimize, gaslight, blame the victim. I didn't respond. Instead, I called someone else. Griffith and Associates, how may I direct your call? I need a divorce attorney. Best one you have. Money's not an object. 40 minutes later, I had a consultation scheduled for Friday morning. Catherine Griffith herself. Shark in heels. Reputation for destroying cheating spouses in court. Then, I called my bank. Joint accounts. Started documenting every transaction. Every suspicious charge. Every business dinner that cost $300. Every hotel. Every flight. Dean had been sloppy. Arrogant. He genuinely thought I was too trusting to check. Wrong. I found deposits I didn't recognize. 500 here, 800 there. Payments from our savings account to Venmo? I traced them. All to Vanessa. He was paying her. My husband was using our money to pay his mistress. My hands shook. Not from sadness anymore. From rage. I called Seth. It's midnight. He answered, voice rough with sleep. He was paying her. Dean was sending Vanessa money from our joint savings. Thousands, Seth, thousands. Silence. Then, I'm coming over. You don't have to. I'm already dressed. 5 minutes later, he knocked. I opened the door. He had coffee, 2 cups. Knew how I took mine. Cream, no sugar. Remembered after 10 years. We sat on the hotel bed. Laptops open. Going through finances like forensic accountants. Here, Seth pointed. This charge. 4 nights at the Fairmont in Dallas. Same week you posted on Facebook about being sick with the flu. He said he had a conference. I remember that week. I had pneumonia, could barely breathe. He FaceTimed me once. Said the conference was boring. I laughed bitterly. He was with her, while I was home alone, sick, thinking my husband actually cared. Seth's jaw clenched. He's worse than I thought. We found more. Jewelry purchases, designer bags, lingerie from boutiques I'd never been to, all charged to our credit cards, all for her. This is financial infidelity, Seth said. In Texas, you can use this in divorce court. Dissipation of marital assets. Judge will make him pay you back, with interest. How do you know that? My sister went through a divorce 2 years ago. Ugly one. I learned more about family law than I ever wanted to know. He looked at me. You're going to destroy him, Alma. Legally, financially, professionally. Professionally? Seth smiled. Dangerous. Dean's been violating company policy, fraternization with subordinate employee, using corporate resources for personal affairs, falsifying expense reports. I have documentation, emails, witnesses. I've been building a case. You've been planning this. Not a question. I've been protecting you. There's a difference. My phone buzzed. Dean again. Alma, I'm outside the house. Your car's not here. Where are you? We need to talk. I love you. This is fixable. I showed Seth. He shook his head. Narcissist's prayer. That didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it. Poetic. Accurate. I typed back to Dean. Talk to my attorney. Catherine Griffith. You'll be hearing from her Monday. Sent. Blocked his number. Savage, Seth said, impressed. I'm just getting started. Friday morning. Attorney's office. Catherine Griffith was everything advertised. 60-something, silver hair, eyes like a predator. She listened to my story, reviewed my documentation, smiled. This is the easiest case I've had all year. Your husband's an idiot. He left a paper trail visible from space. What can we get? Everything. She leaned forward. Texas is a community property state, but judges have discretion when one spouse wastes marital assets. He paid her thousands of dollars using your joint funds. He committed fraud with expense reports. That's criminal, by the way. We can request full asset disclosure, freeze accounts, and file for fault-based divorce citing adultery. You'll get more than half. Possibly alimony depending on his income. How long? Fast-tracked? 4 months. Maybe less if he doesn't contest. He'll contest. Let him. We have photos. Financial records. Witnesses. He'll lose. Badly. I signed papers. Retainer paid. Seth offered to cover it. I refused. Used my personal savings Dean didn't know about. Always kept a secret account. Paranoia? Maybe. Lifesaver? Absolutely. Catherine smiled as I left. One more thing. You might want to consider exposing the affair to his employer. Violating company policy has consequences. Already planned. Seth was waiting in the lobby. How'd it go? I'm about to become single and significantly wealthier. Good. You deserve both. We walked to a coffee shop, sat outside. October in Austin, perfect weather, horrible timing. I need to ask you something, I said. Why are you really doing this? The flowers, the evidence, the support. You could have just told me and walked away. Why stay? Seth looked at his coffee. Long pause. Because 10 years ago I asked you to marry me. You said no. You said you needed to focus on your career, that you weren't ready, that timing was wrong. I respected that. I left. I moved on, or tried to. Seth, but I never stopped loving you, Alma. I dated other women, even got engaged once. Called it off because she wasn't you. Nobody was ever you. He met my eyes. When I saw Dean with Vanessa, I was angry. But when I realized he was treating you like you were disposable, I couldn't stay silent. You deserved to know. You deserved better. You always deserved better. My heart did that thing again. Complicated. Painful. Hopeful? I'm not asking you to jump into anything. He continued. You're going through hell. You need time. Space. Healing. I get that. I'm just saying, I'm here. However you need me. Friend. Support system. Or eventually, more. If you want. When you're ready. If you're ever ready. I reached across the table. Took his hand. Thank you. For seeing me. For caring enough to blow up my life in the best way possible. That's what love does. He squeezed my hand. It sees you. Even when you can't see yourself. Monday morning, Seth went to HR. Filed formal complaint against Dean. Provided evidence, emails, photos, expense reports, everything. HR launched investigation. Fast. Dean was suspended pending review. Vanessa too. Dean called me. Forgot I'd blocked him. Used office phone. Receptionist transferred him before I could stop it. Alma. What did you do? Hi, Dean. Enjoying your suspension? You went to my company? You're trying to destroy my career? No, sweetheart. You destroyed your career when you decided to break company policy, commit expense fraud, and treat your marriage like a part-time hobby. I just documented it. You're insane. You're vindictive. I'm done. I hung up. Felt good. Really good. Tuesday. Dean showed up at my office. Security stopped him. I'd preemptively warned them. He stood in the lobby, yelling, making a scene. Coworkers watched, filmed. Alma, come down here. Face me. I went to the window, looked down, waved, smiled. He lost his mind. Started screaming about crazy wives and ruining his life. Security escorted him out. Video went viral internally. Someone posted it to Reddit. Man has meltdown at ex-wife's office after getting caught cheating. Front page. Thousands of comments. All supporting me. Dean became a meme. Perfect. Wednesday. Catherine called. Dean's attorney wants to negotiate. He's panicking. Knows he'll lose in court. They're offering settlement. What are the terms? Insulting. He keeps the house, which you both own, pays you $20,000 and you waive alimony. Counteroffer. I get the house, my car, 70% of liquid assets, repayment of all funds he gave Vanessa with interest, and he covers my legal fees. He also signs a non-disparagement agreement. If he talks badly about me publicly, he pays additional penalties. You're learning. Catherine sounded proud. I'll send it over. Thursday evening. Seth and I had dinner. Real dinner. Not crisis management. Not strategy sessions. Just us. When this is over, he said carefully. What do you want? Big picture. Life goals. Dreams. Honestly, I want to stop feeling like I wasted 8 years. I want to trust someone again. I want to believe that love isn't just elaborate theater designed to hurt me. It's not. He reached across the table again, held my hand. Real love is quiet. Steady. It doesn't lie. It doesn't hide. It shows up. Every day. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Is that what you're offering? If you'll have me, not now, not rushed, but eventually. When you're ready. I'll wait. I've been waiting 10 years. I can wait longer. I smiled. Real smile. First one in days. What if I'm damaged goods? What if I can't trust anymore? Then we'll build trust. Slowly, carefully, together. He kissed my knuckles. Gentle. You're not damaged, Alma. You're just healing. And healing takes time. Friday morning. Catherine called. Victory in her voice. He accepted your counteroffer. All of it. House, assets, repayment, legal fees, non-disparagement clause. He signed an hour ago. I sat down. Hard. Didn't realize I'd been standing. He just gave up? His attorney showed him the evidence, told him a judge would crucify him. Smart lawyer. Saved his client from complete annihilation. You won, Alma. Decisively. When's it final? Paperwork process is Monday. You'll be officially divorced by end of next week. Fastest I've ever seen. I hung up. Stared at my phone. 8 years. Over, finished, done. Seth texted. Dinner tonight? Celebration? Me. You're assuming I want to celebrate. Seth. You should. You just destroyed a cheater and got everything you deserved. That's worth champagne. He was right. That evening, Seth picked me up. Not from the hotel. I'd moved back into my house Wednesday after Dean collected his things. He'd looked pathetic, defeated. Loading boxes into a U-Haul while I watched from the doorway, sipping wine. This is still my house too, he'd tried. Not according to the settlement you signed. You have 2 hours. Then I'm changing the locks. He'd left in 90 minutes. Seth took me to Uchi, expensive sushi place downtown. The kind Dean always said was too pricey for a Tuesday. It's Friday, Seth said, reading my mind. And nothing's too expensive for you. We ordered everything. Toro, uni, wagyu, fancy sake. I felt reckless. Free. Alive. I heard something interesting today, Seth said, popping edamame. Dean and Vanessa both got fired. Official termination. Company released a statement about maintaining professional standards and ethical conduct. They're both unemployed? I tried not to smile. Failed spectacularly. Completely. And in this industry? Firing for ethical violations? That follows you. Good luck getting hired anywhere reputable. He raised his sake cup. To karma working overtime. We clinked glasses. There's more, Seth continued. Vanessa's landlord evicted her. Apparently, Dean was paying half her rent. Now he can't. She can't afford it alone. She's moving back with her parents. In Lubbock. Lubbock, Texas? Middle of nowhere Lubbock? The very same. Her mom posted about it on Facebook. So happy to have my baby girl home, with 17 crying emojis. Seth showed me his phone. I don't have Facebook. My assistant does. She's been monitoring the situation. For research purposes. I laughed. Actually laughed. Deep, genuine, cleansing laughter. They lost everything. Jobs, apartment, dignity, each other, I'm assuming. Oh, they broke up. Wednesday, according to office gossip, Dean blamed her for seducing him and ruining his marriage. She blamed him for being a lying coward who couldn't commit. They had a screaming match in the parking garage. Security footage exists. It's glorious. I need to see that footage. Already requested. Should have it by Monday. We ate, talked, real conversation. He told me about Dallas, his job, his lonely apartment with minimalist furniture because nothing felt like home. I told him about Austin, my promotion last year, how Dean hadn't even congratulated me properly, just said, "More work for you, I guess." He diminished you, Seth said quietly, made you smaller so he could feel bigger. That's what weak men do. And what do strong men do? They celebrate you, support you, build you up. He met my eyes. They see your success as their success, because real love isn't competition, it's partnership. Something shifted. Inside me. Around us. The air felt different. Charged. I'm not ready, I said. Honest. Raw. For anything serious, for us. Not yet. I know. He smiled. Gentle. Patient. Take your time. I'm not going anywhere. The following week, everything fell into place with terrifying efficiency. Monday. Divorce finalized. I was officially Alma Dawson no more. Back to Alma Rutherford. Felt like reclaiming myself. Tuesday. Dean's company paid me $17,000. Settlement for his fraudulent expense reports. They'd audited everything. Found more violations. Covered their liability by compensating me directly. Wednesday. I received a check from Dean. $53,000. Repayment for all money he'd given Vanessa, plus interest Catherine negotiated. He'd had to liquidate his retirement account. Early withdrawal penalties destroyed him. Thursday, I redecorated the house, new paint, new furniture, erased every trace of Dean, burned our wedding photos in the backyard fire pit. Seth came over, brought marshmallows. We made s'mores over the ashes of my failed marriage. This is therapeutic and delicious, I said. Chocolate on my lip. Multitasking at its finest. Seth wiped the chocolate away with his thumb. Lingered. Pulled back. Respectful. Friday. 1 month after the flowers arrived. I went back to work. Everyone knew. Office gossip travels faster than light. But instead of pity, I got respect, admiration, even a few high fives. You're a legend, Sarah from accounting said. Took down a cheater and got the house? Icon behavior. My boss called me into his office. I tensed. Prepared for awkwardness. I'm promoting you, he said instead. Senior Marketing Director. 20% raise. You've earned it. Your work's been exceptional, even during personal hell. That's remarkable. I walked out of his office in shock. Everything was falling into place. Almost suspiciously well. That evening, Seth called. I have news. Big news. Good or bad? Depends on perspective. I got promoted. VP of Finance. Seth, that's incredible. Congratulations. There's a catch. Positions in Austin. Corporate's relocating me. I'll be working at the headquarters here, starting next month. Silence. You're moving here. Not a question. If that's okay with you. I'm not doing this to pressure you or... It's okay. I meant it. It's more than okay. Yeah? Yeah. We met for coffee the next morning. Cafe Medici. Full circle. Same table where he'd told me the truth. I found an apartment, Seth said. Downtown, modern, 1 bedroom, very bachelor pad. Sounds lonely. It won't be. I have friends, work. If you'll let me be part of your life, in whatever capacity you're comfortable with. I looked at him. Really looked. This man who'd loved me silently for 10 years, who'd protected me when I didn't know I needed protecting, who'd handed me the truth wrapped in roses and set me free. I want to try, I said. Us. Not now, not immediately, but soon. I want to see if we can build something real, something honest. Seth's face transformed. Hope, joy, relief. Slow. We'll go slow as you need. Coffee dates, dinners, normal getting to know you again stuff. I can do that. I'm excellent at patience. 10 years, remember? 2 months later, December, holiday party at my company. I brought Seth as my date. First public appearance together. Office gossip exploded. I didn't care. Dean showed up, uninvited. Crashed through the door like a tornado of desperation and cheap cologne. Alma. Everyone stopped. Music cut. Awkward silence. Security moved toward him. I held up my hand. It's fine. Let him speak. Dean stumbled forward. Drunk. Pathetic. You ruined my life. Everything's gone. Job, house. Her. All because you couldn't forgive one mistake. One mistake? I stayed calm. Ice cold. You had a 6-month affair. Spent thousands of our dollars on another woman. Lied every single day. That's not one mistake, Dean. That's a lifestyle choice. I loved you. His voice cracked. Manipulative tears. Classic. No, you didn't. You loved the idea of having 2 women. You loved the ego boost. You loved getting away with it. You never loved me. Seth stepped forward. Protective. Time to go, Dean. Dean looked at Seth. Recognition. Rage. You did this. You stole my wife. I didn't steal anyone. You threw her away. I just reminded her what she's worth. Seth's voice was steel, which is infinitely more than you ever deserved. Security escorted Dean out. He went quietly this time. Broken, defeated, empty. The party resumed. People congratulated me, praised my composure, called Dean pathetic. I accepted it all with grace. Seth pulled me aside. Outside. Balcony overlooking downtown Austin. Christmas lights everywhere. Beautiful. Magical. You okay? He asked. I'm perfect. I meant it. He's nothing to me now. Just a cautionary tale about trusting the wrong person. And me? Vulnerable. Hopeful. What am I to you? I took his hand. Laced our fingers together. You're the person who saw me when I was invisible. Who told me the truth when everyone else let me live a lie. Who waited 10 years because you believed I was worth waiting for. You are worth it. You're worth everything. I'm ready, I said. For us. For real. No more waiting. Seth smiled. Brilliant. Genuine. You sure? Completely. He kissed me. Soft. Sweet. Perfect. First kiss in 10 years. First kiss as free woman. First kiss of something real. Fireworks didn't explode. Orchestra didn't swell. But something better happened. I felt safe. Seen. Loved. Actually loved. We pulled apart. Foreheads touching. Breathing same air. I have a confession, Seth whispered. I never stopped planning our future. Even when you married him. Even when it seemed impossible. I kept hoping. What did you plan? This. You. Us. Together. Finally. Ambitious. Patient. He corrected. There's a difference. We went back inside. Danced. Laughed. Celebrated. My co-workers cheered. Someone started chanting, kiss, kiss, kiss. We obliged. Crowd went wild. Best office party ever. January. New year. New life. Seth moved into his Austin apartment. We spent weekends together. Cooking. Watching movies. Talking. Really talking. Learning each other again. Or maybe for the first time. Properly. Dean got a job. Finally. Small firm. Entry level. Massive pay cut. He'd been blacklisted from major companies. His own fault. Consequences. Glorious consequences. Vanessa stayed in Lubbock. Last I heard, she was working retail. Karma's hilarious sometimes. February. Valentine's Day. Seth cooked dinner at my place. Steak. asparagus, chocolate lava cake. Romantic, thoughtful, perfectly him. After dessert, he pulled out a small box. My heart stopped. Relax, he laughed. Not a ring. Not yet. Just a promise. Inside, a key to his apartment. Move in with me, he said, or I'll move in here. I don't care where. I just want to wake up next to you. Build a life together. Properly. No secrets, no lies, just us. That's a big step. I've been waiting 10 years for this step. I'm ready. Question is, are you? I looked at the key. Symbol of trust, commitment, future. Yes. Simple, clear, certain. Yes, I'm ready. March. I moved into Seth's apartment. We combined lives, books, furniture, quirks, arguments about thermostat temperature and proper way to load dishwasher. Normal couple things, beautiful, mundane, perfect things. Dean texted once, blocked number but got through somehow. I hope you're happy. I didn't respond, but I thought, I am. Finally. Completely. Utterly happy. Deleted his number. Blocked every possible contact method. Closed that chapter, sealed it, buried it. 1 year after the flowers arrived. I'm sitting in our apartment, Seth's and mine, drinking coffee on the balcony. Morning sun, Austin skyline, traffic sounds below. Normal, beautiful, mine. Seth's inside making breakfast. French toast. He burns it every single time. I pretend not to notice. He pretends he's a chef. We have our routines now, our rhythms, our inside jokes that nobody else would understand. Last week we ran into Dean. Whole Foods parking lot. Unavoidable Austin moment. He looked smaller somehow, older, worn down by consequences he created. Alma. He nodded. Uncomfortable. Seth. Dean. I kept my voice neutral. Not warm, not cold. Just done. Awkward silence. He shifted his grocery bag. Generic brands. Budget shopping. How the mighty fall. You look happy, he said finally. Bitter edge. I am happy. Truth. Simple. Devastating. That should have been us. Pathetic. Playing victim. No, Dean. It couldn't have been us. Because us required honesty. And you're allergic to that. I took Seth's hand. We're late for brunch. Take care of yourself. Walked away. Didn't look back. Seth squeezed my hand. You okay? He asked in the car. Completely. He's just a stranger who hurt me once. He doesn't get to hurt me twice. That's the thing about healing. It's not linear, not pretty, not Instagram-worthy. It's messy and complicated, and sometimes you cry in grocery store parking lots for no reason. But eventually, gradually, without realizing exactly when, the person who destroyed you becomes irrelevant. Background noise. Footnote in your story. I learned things this year. Uncomfortable truths about myself. 1. I ignored red flags because I wanted the fairy tale. Dean was distant, secretive, emotionally unavailable. I convinced myself it was work stress or normal marriage stuff. It wasn't. It was him showing me exactly who he was while I insisted on believing who I wanted him to be. 2. I made myself smaller to accommodate his ego, downplayed my promotions, apologized for success, dimmed my light so he wouldn't feel threatened. That's not love. That's self-erasure. 3. I stayed too long. Ignored intuition. Dismissed gut feelings. Convinced myself I was paranoid when I was actually perceptive. Note to self. Trust your instincts. They're usually right. But here's what else I learned. Love isn't supposed to hurt. Real love, the kind Seth gives me, is easy. Not effortless, but natural. It doesn't require constant negotiation or emotional gymnastics. It just is. Real love sees you, acknowledges you, celebrates you. It doesn't compete, doesn't diminish, doesn't hide. Real love shows up every day, especially boring days, especially hard days. Seth proposed 3 months ago, spring evening. Nothing elaborate. We were walking our dog. Yes, we got a dog, golden retriever named Biscuit, because we're predictable like that. And he just stopped. Middle of the trail. Marry me. Not a question. Statement. Confident. We've only been officially together for a year, I said. I've loved you for 11 years. I think I've waited long enough. He pulled out a ring. Platinum band. Single diamond. Simple. Elegant. Perfect. I'm not asking because I'm afraid of losing you. I'm asking because I want to choose you every day for the rest of my life. Publicly, officially, permanently. I ugly cried. Full sobbing, snotty mess. Biscuit got excited and jumped on us. Total disaster. Yes, obviously yes. We're getting married next month. Small ceremony. Close friends. Family. Nothing extravagant, just meaningful. That's all we need. My mom asked if I was nervous about trying again. Fair question. Loaded question. I'm not trying again, I told her. I'm trying something completely different. Dean was practice for recognizing what I don't want. Seth is proof I know what I deserve. She cried. Happy tears. I never liked Dean anyway. Why didn't you say something? Would you have listened? No. Exactly. Moms. Always right. Annoyingly so. Work's going well. Senior marketing director turned into VP of marketing last month. Corner office, actual window, company car. The success Dean always said would intimidate men is exactly what Seth celebrates. He sends flowers to my office every Friday. Different varieties, never roses. Too much history there. Last Friday, sunflowers. Card said, proud of you, always. My assistant swooned. Your fiancé's the best. She's right. He is. Vanessa? Heard through mutual connections she's engaged. Apparently found some guy in Lubbock. Good for her, I guess. Hope she learned something. Doubt it, but hope is free. Dean's still single. Working his entry-level job. Living in a studio apartment. Dating sporadically. One mutual friend said he's still talking about the wife who ruined him. I didn't ruin him. He ruined himself. I just stopped participating in his delusions. There's a difference. Sometimes people ask how I forgave him. Plot twist. I didn't. Forgiveness implies reconciliation. Implies healing the relationship. I have zero interest in either. What I did was release him. Stopped letting his betrayal define my worth. Stopped replaying his lies. Stopped giving him mental real estate. He doesn't deserve my anger. Anger means he still matters. He doesn't. He's just the guy who taught me what I won't tolerate. Expensive lesson. Worth it. Seth and I talk about the future now. Real plans. Not vague, someday fantasies. Concrete timelines. Kids? Maybe. 2 years. We're thinking about it. No rush. We want time to just be us first. House? Searching. Looking at suburbs. Good schools. Backyard for Biscuit. White picket fence feels cliché, but honestly, I want the cliché. I earned boring suburban happiness. Careers? We're both thriving, supportive, competitive in healthy ways. Who can close bigger deal becomes foreplay. We're weird. It works. Last night, Seth asked, do you ever regret saying no the first time I proposed? I thought about it. Really thought. No. Because we weren't ready then. I wasn't ready. I needed to become who I am now. Experience what I experienced. Learn what I learned. If we'd gotten married at 24, we'd have been different people building a different life. Think we'd have made it? Honestly? Probably not. We were kids. I was ambitious and ruthless about my career. You were building your foundation. We'd have resented each other eventually. And now? Now we're adults who chose each other after seeing the worst life offers. That's stronger than young love. That's informed love. He kissed my forehead. You're annoyingly wise. I had a great teacher. His name was Consequences. Real strict. Taught me everything. We laughed. That's the other thing about real love. It's fun, easy, light. Even heavy conversations feel manageable because you're not carrying them alone. I think about the flowers sometimes. That Tuesday afternoon. Anonymous roses. Cryptic card. The moment everything changed. Best worst day of my life. Because it broke everything. Shattered my comfortable denial. Forced me to see truth I'd been avoiding. But it also freed me. Freed me from a man who saw me as placeholder. Freed me from a marriage built on lies. Freed me from settling for crumbs when I deserved the whole bakery. Those flowers weren't romantic. They were a demolition notice. And sometimes demolition is necessary. You can't build something strong on a cracked foundation. You have to tear it down. Start over. Build correctly. That's what I did. What we did. Seth and I. We demolished the lies, cleared the rubble, built something real, something lasting, something neither of us has to hide or apologize for. Next month, I'll walk down an aisle, real one this time, toward a man who sees me, always has, always will. Dean will not be invited, obviously. He'll probably hear about it somehow. Small world, smaller city. I hope he does hear. Hope he realizes what he lost, what he threw away, what he'll never have again. Not because I want him to hurt. I'm past that. But because some people only learn through loss. And Dean? He lost everything. Job, wife, dignity, future. I gained everything. Career, love, peace, self-respect. Math checks out. People say I'm bitter, cold, unforgiving. Maybe. But I'm also happy, thriving, loved, free. I'll take cold and happy over warm and miserable any day. Final thoughts? Lessons learned? Wisdom acquired through emotional warfare? Here's what I know now. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. First time. Don't wait for the 16th photo. Don't wait for anonymous flowers. Don't wait until you're sitting in a bathroom stall crying over evidence of betrayal. Your intuition is smarter than your hope. Listen to it. Love shouldn't require detective work. If you're checking phones, tracking locations, verifying stories, you're not in a relationship. You're in an investigation. End it. You teach people how to treat you. I taught Dean he could lie. I taught him I'd accept excuses. I taught him my time and loyalty were negotiable. Never again. And finally, the right person won't make you feel crazy for expecting honesty. Won't make you feel needy for wanting attention. Won't make you feel demanding for requiring respect. The right person makes you feel seen, valued, chosen, every single day. Seth does that, has done that, will continue doing that. So here I am, 1 year later, engaged, thriving, happy, living my best life with a man who sent me flowers not to romance me, but to save me. Best delivery I ever received. Turns out, when someone says he doesn't deserve you, but I see you, they're not just critiquing your spouse. They're offering you a mirror, showing you your worth, reminding you that you deserve better. I looked in that mirror, didn't love what I saw, woman accepting less than she deserved. But I changed it, became the person I needed to be, found the love I'd always wanted. The flowers are long dead, dried, thrown away weeks ago, but the truth they delivered, that's permanent, and I'm grateful for the flowers, the truth, the pain, the growth, all of it, because sometimes love arrives disguised as destruction, and sometimes the best thing that can happen is having your world fall apart so you can rebuild it correctly. Mine fell apart spectacularly, and I rebuilt it beautifully. That's my story. Drama, betrayal, heartbreak, revenge, justice, and eventually, finally, actual love. If you're reading this from a bathroom stall, staring at evidence of betrayal, crying over lies, I see you. You deserve better, and better is coming. Trust me. I'm living proof.